we've seen Cubans who were living in America, in Miami, who have now been deported to Cuba, separated from their family, sobbing hysterically in these videos saying, I just want to see my daughter. I was ripped apart from my family by the Trump regime, who's revoked their asylum status or their temporary protected status or their status that allowed them to remain in the United States. The Cuban community in Miami and South Florida and in the rest of the country was very pro-Trump, and Trump's rewarded them by allowing the Afrikaners in South Africa, who are white, to come into the United States with basically no paperwork. And if you are a Cuban supporter of Donald Trump and Donald Trump deems your paperwork to be incomplete, insufficient, or based on his revocation of TPS expired, he sends you back to Castro. And in many of these cases where there are political dissidents, people are going to suffer and be tortured by going back to the Castro regime in Cuba. We've seen this happen over and over again. I'll report on this, which was highlighted in a great article by Politico that I hope you all will check out. And it's this Cuban rapper who goes by the rap name El Funky. And he's been posting on Instagram, SOS, Cuba, SOS. I have 30 days. This was on his Instagram. And he was a big Cuban for Trump, rapper for Trump, expressed his support frequently for Donald Trump. I have 30 days to leave the country or I will be deported. I ask all my Cuban brothers who know my anti-communist trajectory and the congressmen of this country that more than ever, I need your support today. Greetings and blessings. And you see right there, he's holding a sign, Patria y Vida. And Marco Rubio, when he was a senator, introduced a piece of legislation called the Patria y Vida Act, protecting against tyrants and expanding internet service in Cuba. That's when Marco Rubio was a senator from Florida before he went full on Trump regime Secretary of State, where he's done literally nothing after using the name, image, and likeness of El Funky, using El Funky, in my opinion, basically as a prop to push through his legislation. And Marco Rubio, as someone whose family fled the Castro regime, really held this guy El Funky up. And the song by El Funky, Patria y Vida, a Grammy-winning protest anthem, as a rallying call for the United States, supporting the Cuban community within the United States and supporting political dissidents from Cuba. But now the Trump regime has thrown the Cuban community under the bus. Again, as Donald Trump wants to revoke their temporary protected status, the Supreme Court's recent ruling revoking TPS for the Venezuelans is paving the way right now for the Cubans. And we're seeing right here with El Funky, with this rapper from South Florida, he's gone. He's out. Now he is begging his Congress member, Congresswoman Salazar, please help, please do something. But Salazar, you know, is ultra MAGA. She's ultra MAGA. She continues to pretend that she's doing things, but ultimately, as I said before, Donald Trump bringing the white Afrikaners in and replacing brown and black people in the United States. There's a name for that. Some call for replacing one race with another, but that's what Trump's doing. I mean, you know, and Donald Trump, you saw when the president of South Africa, Ramaphosa, was here, Donald Trump was showing fake burial sites that don't exist. And this was right-wing white supremacist apartheid propaganda. And Trump was showing that to the president of South Africa, saying there's a genocide against white South Africans when there isn't. Heck, the president of South Africa brought the white Afrikaner agriculture minister from the other political party with him. And he said to Trump, hey, this is a white guy. That's what the president of South Africa said. This is a white guy. He's our white agriculture minister. He's saying there's no genocide. Stop saying that there is a genocide. Check out this article from Politico, the pro-Trump Cuban rapper about to be deported. In 2021, like many Cubans and Cuban-Americans that summer, Florida Senator Marco Rubio was jamming to Patria y Vida, the Grammy-winning protest anthem that became a rallying cry for dissidents in Cuba. The hip-hop song, whose title translates to Homeland and Life, directly rebuked Fidel Castro's revolutionary slogan, Patria o Muerte, Homeland or Death. That was a cause that resonated with Rubio, the son of Cuban exiles, so much that in 2023, he introduced the Patria y Vida Act, protecting against tyrants and expanding internet service in Cuba. Now, one of the song's central voices, the Cuban rapper El Funky, faces removal from the United States. Earlier this month, U.S. immigration authorities denied his residency application under the 1966 Cuban Adjustment Act. He has less than 30 days to leave the U.S. or face deportation and likely imprisonment in Cuba, since his music helped fuel the largest anti-government protest in Cuba in decades, and his songmates are imprisoned for doing just that. Rubio, now the Secretary of State, has remained silent. So have other influential Cuban-American figures and politicians who had embraced the hashtag Cuba Libre cause, such as the various Florida reps. And then it says that his pleas have so far gone unanswered. Shout out to Aki Obejes, whose new poetry collection, The Boy Kingdom, El Reino de los Varones, is forthcoming from Beacon Press in September. She's a journalist, novelist, and translator who was born in Cuba. She's the source of that article I just read, and support her work as well. The new poetry collection, The Bay Kingdom, El Reino. Now, with all of this happening, you would think, well, it must be then that the Cuban community in Florida, in Miami, in Little Havana, doesn't support Donald Trump anymore. It's important that you realize that while there are a lot of Latinos who have turned against the Trump regime, there still seems to be support amongst the Cubans who are now facing deportation and going to be tortured if they get sent back, many of them, by the Castro regime. They somehow still think, not me, this is not going to happen to me. If you don't believe me, this was from a recent CBS Evening News report where they asked the Cuban community, do you still support this guy? And by and large, they said, well, we don't support the deportations, but otherwise we think we support him. To which I say, you realize that the issue that you don't support him on is the one where he's killing you, like the one where you potentially die. That would seem to, whatever your other issues are, would seem to be significantly trounced by the politician who wants to kill you, right? Like, on the one hand, Biden protected their status and allowed them to live fulfilling lives. On the other hand, Donald Trump wants to kill you or have you tortured by the Castro regime. And that's still a struggle for you to say, no, it's not even a struggle. Y'all go, well, we support Trump. One's killing you, Trump, or wants to have you tortured. And thinks that you're a criminal based on your skin color. That's because that's what his actions are. The other, Biden, protected you and allows you to live their lives. Who do you like better? Trump! Play this clip.
On a recent visit to Miami's Little Havana neighborhood, we found conversation about temporary protected status heating up.
You think it's bad for them to remove the status, pero sigues con tu apoyo al presidente. You still approve President Trump. So you continue to support the president. This is iconic Domino Park, where many Cuban Americans come to enjoy their favorite pastime, playing dominoes. And in between games, some have told us that they agree with President Trump on most things except this. Cubans, Venezuelans should have a right to be protected.
Clearly, yes, she said.
And we're seeing the real life ramifications of this. As I mentioned at the outset of this video, I mean, the very, very, very tragic story of Heidi Sanchez, 44 years old, deported back to Cuba after she was detained at an ICE check-in appointment on April 22nd. She's married to a U.S. citizen, has a 6-month-old baby girl who she was still breastfeeding until their separation. Quote, when they put us on the plane, it was horrible. As the plane took off, I felt further away from my little girl, from my life, and from all things I had built with my husband, she told the Associated Press. To the president, who has a family, he says he believes in God, and I believe in God too. I would like him to put his hand on his heart and please help reunite our family. He's the one who separated you. He doesn't want you reunited. He thinks you're a criminal. Like, he thinks based on the color of your skin and because you're a Cuban, he thinks you're a criminal. And Venezuelans and Haitians and Colombians across the board. But the white South Africans, he thinks very differently about. Here's this deported Cuban mother tearfully begging Trump to reunite her. Here, play this clip.
Cuando nos montaron el avión, fue horrible porque mientras más el avión despegaba, más yo me alejaba de mi niña, de mi vida, de todas las cosas que había construido con mi esposo. ¡Qué beso más rico! Te amo.
Y no sé qué ella cantó mía y ella me dice, déjame cantarle una canción de las mías de las que yo le cantaba para que se duerma. Y cuando le empezó a cantar, imagínate, la niña le empezó a hacer caso y le empezó a estirar la mano para pasarle la mano a la pantalla, como si le estuviera acariciando la cara. Y después le hacía así, le tiraba besitos. Y después empezó a darle besos a la pantalla como para darle besos, con un sentimiento. Yo empecé a llorar y ella también.
Al presidente, que él tiene familia, él dice que cree en Dios, yo también creo en Dios. Y quisiera, así, con que se pusiera la mano en el corazón y por favor nos ayudara a reunir a nuestra familia. Mi bebé es pequeña, me necesita.
Hey everybody, Ben Meiselas here from the Midas Touch Network. I wanted to let you know about my podcast partner, Michael Popak's new law firm. It's called the Popak Firm. Michael Popak's pursuing his dream of starting his own law firm, really based on the popular demand by all the Midas Mighty and legal AFers who were approaching Michael Popak with their cases and saying, can you help us? And at that time, Popak was not able to. So he went out on his own. He started the Popak Firm, where he is now handling catastrophic injury cases like car accident cases, trucking cases, malpractice cases, big negligence cases, wrongful death cases. So if you or someone you know have a case like this, the consultation with Popak's firm is free. Give him a call. See if you have a case. It's thepopakfirm.com, thepopakfirm.com, or you can call 877-POPOK-AF, P-O-P-O-K-A-F. So 1-877-POPOK-AF. Give Michael Popak a call. And I'm really proud of you, Popak. Thanks for all the hard work you're putting in. You know, and then this is personal to me. You know, many of you may know my wife is first generation Mexican. Our daughter's name is Jimena. Our daughter is Jimena, my 8-month-old girl. Time flies. Wow, right? My 8-month-old girl is Jimena. So when I found out the story about Jimena Cristobal from Georgia, who was a little bit too old to get DACA. She came here at a young age. She's going to college. She got pulled over and she spent weeks in a detention center in Georgia. You know her story? Let me play for you just a little bit about it from one of the local media reports. And so in case you don't know the story about Jimena Cristobal, play this clip.
Can't speak at all.
Jimena and Jose are being held 4 hours away from home at Stewart Detention Center. Jimena taken Monday after Dalton police stopped her for making an illegal turn on a red light and realized she didn't have the proper license. Her dad detained 2 weeks earlier in a separate stop when police found he didn't have a license.
We had to pay a lot of stuff and I've been helping her out because she doesn't know English.
The family now left in limbo, forced to pay legal fees to try and get the dad and daughter out of the detention center before they get deported to Mexico. Jimena's mother says they crossed the border illegally in 2010 when she was 4 without papers to try and get a better living for their family.
This racist system has got to fall.
Now, Jimena did not have a visa because she was not eligible to apply for DACA. When she was eligible to apply for DACA, that program was discontinued by President Trump in 2017. And really, there's no easy way for someone like her who was brought to the U.S. as a child to obtain a path to citizenship in the U.S. When it comes to her dad, he tried to apply for a work visa for his job that he owns, but they were told that they did not reach the requirement to obtain a visa. That's why they both have an order for.
Now, this is 12-year-old Aurora, Jimena's younger sister. And here's what she had to say. Play this clip.
If she was released, the first thing I would do is go and hug her and tell her how much I missed her and tell her how much I love her and tell her, like, I never want to let her go. We like the same things and everything. We're really close.
How are you feeling right now?
Sad, angry, and scared. I'm scared because I don't know what the next step could be. I don't know if she's going to come back to the house or if she's going to get deported to Mexico.
Are you scared that your mom could also be arrested?
Yeah, because she's the last hope we have. She's the grown adult that we have here. She's the one that's been working and paying the bills because the police arrested my dad and my sister, and she's the last one here helping us out. It's kind of hard because you first get the news of your dad being arrested, and then not even 2 weeks later, you get told again that your sister was also arrested. When I'm in class, I'm more focused about what could happen. Like, my brain is thinking, what if my mom's at work and something happens? What if she gets taken as well? Or what's happening with my dad in jail right now? Or what's happening to my sister? Is she okay? Is she safe? And then my teacher's talking, and then I'm over here thinking about something else. My family's a good family. They're not criminals. They might have came here illegally, but they came here to fulfill their dreams and to make a better future for my sister and for themselves.
Now, fortunately, Jimena was released at the end of last week after being detained and put in horrific situations. Here she is back at home, and here she's talking to ABC9. Play the clip.
It changed my life. It's something I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. It's life-changing, and yeah, I wouldn't wish it on any.
And here she is again talking to ABC9. Here, play the clip.
It was scary. I was terrified, and then as I was being transported down to Stewart, I stopped at some offices in Atlanta, and they had me in a room by myself for 9 hours. I didn't know what was going on. I was never.
It's just so sad to see that this is what's happened to the United States of America. I say this as a dad of a baby girl named Jimena, but I also say this as just a human being. It saddens me, you know, and I also want to think about how do we connect? I mean this sincerely, with the Cuban community. How can I be better connecting with the Venezuelan community? How can I do a better job connecting with the Colombian community, or those aspects of it that support Trump? Because to me, Trump is a worse version of Castro. Trump is a worse version of Maduro. And so to me, like a Marco Rubio who fled Castro, or someone who fled Maduro, you've propped up somebody who not only fits those exact authoritarian character traits, but is worse than them. I'd love your thoughts in the comments. I'd love your thoughts in the comments. So let me know what you think. Anyway, hit subscribe. Let's get to 5 million subscribers. I appreciate you all so much.
Heading to supply point. Help me! Thanks. Good job. Need equipment. Go, go, go! Help me!
First doom.
Help me!
Double takedown.
Help me!
Double takedown.
Thanks. Good job. Need equipment. That's a shockwave.
Doom. Double takedown. Triple takedown.
Hit him with senses shockwave. Good job. Resources here. Need equipment. Resources here. Thanks. Need equipment.
takedown.